Good morning, everyone. Stories or novels in English, A2 level. White Fang, Part 3, Chapter 5. وقتتون بخیر. داستانها یا رمان‌های انگلیسی در سطح A2. قسمت سوم. Chapter 5. The Great Fight. When the first snows began to fall, Beauty Smith took White Fang on a boat up the Yukon to Dawson. He called White Fang the killer wolf and showed him to people for money. When White Fang slept, people woke him with a stick. They wanted to see an angry wolf. White Fang was very angry. Toy hated every angry and everybody. این جمله اشتباهه. Toy hated every angry and everybody. نمیدونم چی بوده جمله اشتباهی تایپیه. He hated Beauty Smith because he heard him all the time. Beauty Smith wanted an angry wolf because he wanted a fighter. Sometimes at night, Beauty Smith took White Fang into the woods outside the town. In the morning, a lot of people and a dog arrived. White Fang fought the dog. با سگ جنگید. Usually, he killed him. He was a better fighter than the other dogs. After a time, the fights stopped because Beauty Smith could not find dogs for them. In the spring, he suddenly took him to a fight. It was a fight with a very strange dog. با یه سگ خیلی عجیب. The dog was short and heavy. The people shouted to him. مردم داد می زدن. Go to him. برو سمتش. کروکی. Eat him. بخورش کروکی. But Keruki did not really want to fight. Then a man began to stroke the dog's body from its bottom to its head. Suddenly, Keruki felt angry and he began to run to White Fang. White Fang quickly struck یعنی ضربه زد. هم ضربه زدن میشه هم مالش دادن. چروکی هم به معنی یکی از قبایل سرخپوستیه. چروکی. White Fang quickly jumped on him and bit him behind his ear. The dog did not snarl. He turned and followed White Fang. Again and again, White Fang jumped on Cherokee and bit him. Again and again, Cherokee followed him. He planned to do something, but what? White Fang could not understand him, and he could not bite his neck below his head. نمیتونست بفهمتش و نمیتونست گلوشو زیر سرشو گاز بگیره. Cherokee was too short, and his head was too large. Again and again, White Fang tried to push Cherokee onto the ground. هلش بده رو زمین. But Cherokee was too short and heavy. Then White Fang pushed too hard and fell to the ground. Cherokee bit into his neck. White Fang jumped up and ran. Cherokee's teeth stayed in his neck. White Fang hated this. He hated being near the other dog. He ran around and around. دندوناش توی گردن سپید دندان گیر کرد و این همینجور داشت میچرخید. He only stopped when he was tired. Cherokee pushed him onto his back and sat on top of him. هلش داد رو زمین و رو پشتش و نشست روش. His teeth did not leave White Fang's neck. دندوناش در نمی اومد از گردنش. Slowly he moved his teeth up White Fang's neck. آروم آروم دندوناشو برد رو گردنش، بالای گردنش. Beauty Smith began to kick White Fang angrily. شروع کرد لگد زدن به White Fang. Suddenly, a tall young man pushed his way through the people to Beauty Smith. He was very angry and his grey eyes were cold. He bit Beauty Smith in the face. Beauty Smith fell to the ground. Matt, come here, the young man called. A shorter, older man went to him and they tried to pull Cherokee off White Fang. pull off یعنی بکشنش بیرون، جداش بکنن از اون داستان، از اون که چسبیده بودن به هم. pull off. You can't pull him off, Scott, said Matt. We have to open off his mouth. We have to open off his mouth. باید دهنشو باز کنیم. Scott took out his gun and pushed it between Cherokee's teeth. اسلحه‌شو گذاشت بین دندونای چروکی. Then he slowly opened the dog's mouth and Matt pulled White Fang's neck out from the dog's teeth. آروم آروم فکش و دندوناشو باز کردن و گردن وایت فنگ کشتن بیرون. White Fang tried to get up. سکت بلند شه. But his legs were too weak. باش خیلی ضعیف بود. He fell back into the snow. Beauty Smith got up slowly and came to him. He looked him. Matt, how much does a good sled dog cost? Scott asked. یه سگ خوب سورتمه چقدر میارزه؟ How much does it cost? $300. And how much for this dog now? Half of that. نصفش. Scott turned to Beauty Smith. Did you hear that? I'm going to take your dog and I'm going to give you $150 for him. He took out the money. پول در آورد. I'm not selling, said Beauty Smith. Oh, yes, you are. آره, میفروشی. I'm not selling. Yes, you are. آره, میفروشی, said Scott. برای جواب yes or no question با همون استراکچری که سوال شده. I'm not selling. Yes, you are. I don't sell. Yes, you do. She doesn't sell. Yes, she does. I haven't sold. Yes, you have. I will not sell. Yes, you will. I shouldn't sell. Yes, you should. با هر استراکچری که سوال میکنه تو هر زمانی، با هر مدال وربی، با هر فعل کمکی auxiliary وربی که سوال کوتاه انجام میشه، با همونم جواب yes or no داده میشه. Oh yes, you are, said Scott, because I'm buying. Here's your money. Here's your money. بیا این پولت. Here you are یعنی بفرمایید. Here's your money. بیا بگی این پولت. Here it is. بیا بگیر. Beauty Smith put his hands behind him and moved away. Scott ran after him. Beauty Smith دستاشو گذاشت پشت اون و رفت اون بر بهتر بگیم. moved away. away رو ما اغلب بیرون ترجمه میکنیم. مثل out. ولی away توی فارسی شاید معنی مشخصی نداشته باشه. away یعنی جایی غیر از اینجا. away I'm away یعنی من نیستم. I'm going away من میرم از اینجا. حالا میتونه سفر باشه، میتونه یه جا دیگه باشه، میتونه بیرون از خونه باشه، هر جایی غیر از اینجا. اسکات ran after him. اسکات دوید دنبالش. Take the money or I will hit you again, he said. پول بگیر یا دوباره میزنمت. All right, Beauty Smith said quickly. But I'm going to tell the police and Dawson. ولی به پلیس و داوسن میگم. Then you will have to leave town. بعدش باید شهر رو ترک کنی. Do you understand? Yes, answered Beauty Smith and moved away. رفت از اونجا. Scott turned his back on him and went to White Fang. Turned his back on him. یعنی پشت کرد بهش. Chapter 6. Love begins. Vidden Scott sat outside his small house in the woods and looked at White Fang. White Fang snarled angrily at Matt's sled dogs. White Fang با عصبانیت به سگاش قررش میکرد، دندونش قروچه میکرد. He's a wolf and we can't change him, Scott said to Matt. Wolf or dog, he can pull a sled. سگ یا گرگ اون میتونه که سورتمه رو بکشه. Said Matt. Look at these lines on his back. Can he be a sled dog again? Scott asked. He was interested in this idea. Maybe, let's see. Untie him. بازش کن. Untie. Tie. ببندش. Untie. بازش کن. Scott looked at him. You untie him, he said. تو بازش کن. So Matt took a heavy stick, یه چوب سنگین برداشت, and went to White Fang. He untied him. White Fang slowly walked away from him. آروم ازش دور شد. He could not understand these gods. اون نمیتونست این اربابا رو بفهمه، درکشون کنه. They did not hit him. اونا نمیزدنش. Scott went into the house and came out with some meat. رفت تو خونه و با یه مقدار گوشت اومد بیرون. He threw it to White Fang. انداختش برای White Fang. To White Fang, not for White Fang. یعنی به سمتش. White Fang jumped away from it and looked at it. پرید اون طرف و بهش نگاه کرد. One of Matt's dog jumped for the meat. پرید برای گوشته. Then White Fang jumped on him and bit him. بعد White Fang پرید روش و گازش گرفت. The dog fell to the ground. افتاد. Matt ran to him. دوید سمتش. But he was too late. The dog quickly died. سگ خیلی سریع مرد. We will have to kill him, Scott said. We will have to kill him. باید بکشیمش. Don't kill him now, Mr. Scott, Matt answered. Maybe he will change. I don't want to kill him, Scott said. I want to be nice to him. He walked to White Fang and started to talk to him quietly. به آرومی باش صحبت کرد. He moved his hand near White Fang. Suddenly, White Fang bit it. دستشو. Scott cried out. فریاد زد. Cry out. And White Fang moved away. رفت اونور. Matt ran into the house and came out with a gun. White Fang began to snarl loudly at him. Don't kill him. He knows that guns are dangerous, Scott said. He's very intelligent. اون خیلی باهوشه. All right, Matt said. He put the gun down. تفنگ گذاشت زمین. And White Fang stopped snarling. You're right, Mr. Scott. He knows that a gun can kill, he said. The next day, Scott sat outside the house. White Fang watched him. Scott began to speak. White Fang snarled, but Scott did not move. He spoke quietly for a long time. White Fang stopped snoring and listened to the sound of the god. قرش میکرد و به صدای اربابش گوش میداد. After a long time, the god got up, بلند شد, and went into the house. When he came out, he sat down in the same place. همونجا نشست. Same place. He had some meat in his hand. White Fang's ears stood up. گوشاش بلند شد. And he looked at the meat. It was good meat, but he did not go near it. He was afraid of the god. اون از اربابش میترسید. Then the god threw the meat on the snow at White Fang's feet. گوشتو انداخت جلوی پای سپید دندان. He smelled it. گوش کرد carefully با احتیاط. But he did not look at it. He watched the god. Nothing happened. هیچ اتفاقی نیفتاد. The god did not get up. And he did not hit him. White Fang took the meat and ate it. The god showed him some more meat in his hand, and again White Fang did not go to him. Again the god threw it to him in the snow. The god repeated this a number of times. یه چند بار این کار تکرار کرد. But then he did not throw the meat to him. ننداخت دیگه. He only showed it to him in his hand. The meat was good, and White Fang was hungry. Slowly he went near the hand, and then he took the meat from it. His eyes never left the god's face. چشاش هرگز از روی ارباب تکون نمیخورد. And the hair on his neck stood up. و موهای گردنش سیخ شده بود. He ate the meat, but nothing happened. گوشتو خورد ولی هیچ اتفاقی نیفتاد. He waited. The god talked again, quietly and warmly. به آرومی و گرمی. Then he put his hand lightly on White Fang's head. دستاشو به آرومی گذاشت رو سر White Fang. White Fang felt very afraid. White Fang خیلی ترسید. But he also felt happy. He hated the hand, but he liked the warm sound of the words. گرمای اون صدا کلمات رو دوست داشت. He snarled, but he did not bite the hand. The god stroked White Fang's head lightly. سرش رو آروم ماساژ داد، مالش داد. And again and again, White Fang began to like it. Began to like it یعنی آروم آروم خوشش اومد. In this way, از این طریق، به این روش, White Fang's old life ended. زندگی پیری White Fang بگیم. زندگی پیری White Fang آغاز شد. And his new life began. Slowly he learned new lessons and ببخشید. In this way به این طریق، این شکلی White Fang's old life ended یعنی زندگی قبلیش. Old اینجا به معنی گذشته است. گذشتهش تموم شد and his new life began و زندگی جدید شروع شد. Slowly he learned new lessons and forgot old ones. درسای جدید گرفت و قدیمی ها رو فراموش کرد. He did not run away. فرار نکرد. Because he liked this God. Then he began to really love him. Without him, بدون اون, he was very sad. In the early morning, اول صبح, he did not run in the woods. نمیدوید به سمت جنگل, but waited for the man outside the house for hours. At night, when the man came home, White Fang left his warm place under the snow. He wanted to see and hear the god. He wanted to be with him. White Fang did not show his love openly. White Fang عشقشو، محبتشو صریحاً نشون نمیداد. He never ran to the god. هیچ وقت نمیدوید به سمت ارباب. Only his eyes showed his love. فقط عشقش و چشاش نشون میداد. In the late spring, آخرای بهار, the man suddenly went away. مرد یهو رفت. اونجا رفت. White Fang waited all night for him outside the house. همه شب منتظرش بود. But he did not come. Days came and went. روزها اومدن و رفتن. The man did not come back. مرد برنگشت. White Fang was sick for the first time in his life. White Fang برای اولین بار رو زندگیش سیک به معنی مریضه، ولی ما هوم سیک یا مثلا به معنی دلتنگی هم داریم، به معنی میس. Matt brought him inside the house. He wrote to Scott. The wolf can't walk or eat. He wants you. He's going to die without you. Then one evening, White Fang suddenly made a quiet noise and got up. His ears stood up and he listened hard. گوشاش سیخ شد و با دقت گوش داد. Listened hard. ببینید تو ترجمه باید حواستون باشه. ببینید کانتکست موضوع چیه. کلمه کلمه ترجمه نکنید که مثلا سخت گوش داد. یعنی چی سخت گوش داد؟ گوشش تیز شد، با دقت گوش داد. The door opened and within Scott came in. بدون اسکات اومد. He spoke to Matt and then looked around the room. Where is the wolf? He asked. Then he saw him near the fire. He called him and White Fang came to him quickly. A strange light shone in his eyes. یه نور عجیب تو چشاش درخشید. He never looked at me that way. هیچ وقت اونجوری بهم نگاه نکرده بود, said Matt. Scott did not hear him. He was face to face with White Fang. اون چش تو چش صورت به صورت داشت وایت فنگ رو تماشا میکرد. He stroked him. نازش کرد. Again and again behind his ears. پشت گوشاشو. On his back. White Fang felt a very strong love for him and suddenly he pushed his head between Scott's arm and body. سرشو فشار داد بین دستا و بدن اسکات. It stayed there for a long time. Scott looked at Matt. His eyes shone. Shone گذشته شاینه. میدرخشید. I knew it. من میدونستم. This wolf is a dog. Look at him, said Matt. White Fang felt better because he was happy again. A day later, he left the house and went outside. The sled dogs jumped on him and he fed them happily. He was well and strong and there was life in him again. و زندگی دوباره در اون جریان پیدا کرد. Chapter 7. The Southland. Listen to that. Listen to that, said Matt at dinner one night. سر شام یه شبی. Through the door, از در, came a quiet, sad noise. یه صدای آروم و ناراحت. غمگین. The wolf knows that you're leaving, said Matt. What can I do with a wolf in California? Asked Scott. A second sad noise came through the door. Through یعنی از طریق, از میانه. How does he know that you're going? کجا میدونه داری میری? Asked Matt. I don't know, answered Scott sadly. One morning, White Fang saw Scott's open bags on the floor of the house. Scott and Matt came and went all day. Sometimes Scott put things in the bags. White Fang could not eat. That night he cried loudly. این cry معنی گریه کردن نیست, معنی نالیدنه. با صدای بلند نالید. Outside the house, The next day he felt very afraid. روز بعد خیلی میترسید. He followed Scott everywhere. The Indians arrived and took Scott's bags. سرخپوستا اومدن و کیفای اسکاتو بردن. Scott came to the door of the house and called White Fang inside. He stroked, نوازش کرد, White Fang behind his ears and spoke to him sadly. I'm sorry, he said. I'm going a long way and you can't come with me. White Fang pushed his head between Scott's arm and body. From the river came the sound of a boat. Matt and Scott got up and left the house quickly. They shut the front door and the back door. اونا در جلو و در عقبو بستن. And they went down to the river. رفتن به سمت رودخونه. Be good to him. باش خوب باش, Matt, and said Scott. Write and tell me about him. I will, said Matt. Listen to him. White Fang cried loudly in the house behind them. On the boat, the two men said goodbye. Suddenly, Matt saw White Fang. He was on the boat. The two men went to him and they found cuts on his face and body. اونا رفتن به سمت سگه و خراشای بریدگیایی رو صورت و بدنش دیدن. We forgot the window. ما پنجره رو فراموش کردیم. We jumped through it. اون از بین پنجره اومده, said Matt. Scott thought quickly. Goodbye, Matt, old man. About the wolf. Don't write. I. What? You mean? She? میگی؟ Yes, write to you about him. آره, در موردش واسط می نویسم. Later, when White Fang arrived in San Francisco, he felt very afraid. اون خیلی ترسید. There were a lot of people, and he could not look at them. The noise in the streets hurt his ears. گوشش آزار میداد. And the houses were very large. He stayed near his god all the time. The god took him to a small room and left him for a long time. Left him there, sorry. میذاشتش توی اتاق کوچیک و برای مدت طولانی تنهاش میذاشت. The room was full of bags. When the god came back, they left the city. They were in quiet country now. A man and a woman came to his god, and the woman put her arms around his neck. زنه دستاشو انداخت دور گردنش. She wanted to fight him. اون میخواست باش بجنگه. White Fang jumped at her and snarled angrily. White Fang پرید روش و غرش کرد. His god stopped him. ارباب جلوشو گرفت. It's all right, mother, Scott said. He will learn. مشکل نیست مادر. اون یاد میگیره. The woman laughed, but her face was white. She was afraid. صورتش سفید شد, ترسیده بود. Scott spoke quietly to White Fang and then more loudly. Down, down. اول آروم, بعد بلندتر. بشین, down, پایین. White Fang lay down. سپید دندان نشست زمین. Lay down. خوابید رو زمین. Lay یعنی دراز کشیدن. Scott put his arms around his mother and watched White Fang. Down, down, he repeated. پایین, تکرار کرد. White Fang watched them. This time he did not jump up at the woman. این بار نپرید روی زن. The gods got into a carriage and drove away. ارباب‌ها رفتن توی carriage یعنی مثلا کالسکه, چیزی که حمل میکنه آدمو. And drove away. و روندن جای دیگه, رفتند. White Fang ran behind them. White Fang دوید دنبالشون. After 15 minutes, the carriage turned into a small road between two lines of trees. بعد از 15 دقیقه کالسکه چرخید توی خیابون کوچیک بین دو ردیف درخت. Suddenly a dog stood between White Fang and the carriage. وایساد بین White Fang و کالسکه. Its eyes shone angrily. White Fang ran to it but stopped. He could not fight it because it was a she-dog. نمیتونست باش بجنگه چون اون یه سگ مادر بود. She was afraid of him, so she jumped at him. اون ازش میترسید پس پرید روش. She bit him, but he did not hurt her. He tried to move around her, but she stopped him. Here, Collie, called this strange god in the carriage. یه ارباب غریبه از توی کالسکه صداش کرد. Whedon Scott laughed. It's all right, father. White Fang will have to learn many things. He can start learning now. The carriage drove away, but Collie did not move. White Fang ran around her. دورورش دوید. And she followed quickly. و اون تکرار کرد پشتش یعنی تعقیبش کرد. Suddenly he turned and pushed her to the ground. یهو اون چرخید و پلش داد رو زمین. Then he ran after the carriage. She followed but she could not catch him. اون تعقیبش کرد ولی نتونست بگیرتش. The carriage stopped at a large house. When White Fang came to the house, a large dog suddenly ran to him very fast. It pushed him to the ground. White Fang jumped up and almost bit the dog's neck. White Fang پرید بالا و تقریباً گردن سگ رو گاز گرفت. But then Collie angrily jumped on him. Again White Fang fell to the ground. His god came and stroked White Fang. اربابش اومد و نوازش کرد پشت گردنشو. Another god called the other dogs to him. Under his god's hand, White Fang felt better. زیر دست اربابش احساس بهتری داشت. The carriage left and more strange gods came out of the house. Two of them put their arms around his god's neck. دوتاشون دست انداختن گردن اربابش. But White Fang did not move. The gods walked into the house. White Fang followed. Take Collie inside and leave Dick and your dog outside. کلی رو ببر داخل و دیک و سگ تو بیرون نگه دار. They will fight and then they will be friends. اونا با هم می جنگن بعد با هم دوست میشن. Said Scott's father. Dick will be dead in 2 minutes. دیک 2 دقیقه میمیره. Answered Scott. The wolf will have to come inside. گرگ باید بیاد داخل. Okay, that's it for third part. Later we will read part chapter 8 and 9. I mean the fourth part. بسیار خوب برای چپتر قسمت 3 کافیه. بعداً چپتر 8 و 9 یعنی قسمت 4 رو هم خواهیم خوند که پایان داستانه. Take care. Be good.